Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. Fair warning about this video, it contains quite a bit of blood, so if that's not your thing, then you can click away. I understand, and you will not be hurting my feelings. And because YouTube is supposed to be a family-friendly platform, a lot of the original content that I recorded is going to have to be cut out or heavily edited. Now that I got the disclaimers out of the way, let's get into this review video. Duke Nukem Forever is the very first Duke Nukem game that I have ever played, and I played it just recently, obviously, otherwise I would not be making this review video. With that said, I must admit that I do not know a lot of the lore that surrounds the Duke Nukem series. Since I do not know much about the history of Duke Nukem, I'm going to use the Duke Nukem fandom page for my references. The Duke Nukem series has a bad reputation for controversy, more specifically in the right-wing news, for excessive violence. Of course, this was back in 1996 when it was thought that video games was a source of adolescent and teenage violence. I mean, can you really blame the news, though? Because it wasn't just excessive violence, it was also police brutality, endorsements of pornography, and prostitution. Now, if you ask me, that all sounds like a really good time, but to each their own, I guess. I suppose what is pleasure to one man is a torture for another. So that is just a super short Cliff Note version of the history of the Duke Nukem series. I'm going to talk about the history of Duke Nukem Forever in the next segment of this video. Over the course of this review video, I'm going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music. And then we'll wrap it all up with a water score. Cue the channel intro.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
Before I get into this review video, I want to talk about the milestone that I just reached on my channel. The channel is a little over 2 years old, and I'm currently sitting at 903 subscribers as of editing this video. For those that don't know, this channel originally started out as a Let's Play channel. I did long play videos of the games that I like to play. Most of them were 90s games. But then I realized that Let's Play channels are dying, and they've all gone to live streaming. So I decided to change my format into something that was more unique. The long play style videos consisted of me playing that video game while talking about that same video game and consuming an alcoholic beverage. And since then, I have adopted a healthier lifestyle. I have cut back dramatically on my alcohol consumption, increased my water consumption, and now I go to the gym religiously. The main reason why I wanted to change the format of my channel was because I wanted to encompass all things gaming. And another thing was that the channel was really going nowhere at the time. And since I started doing shorts, unboxing videos, review videos, teardowns, the channel has grown dramatically. And of course, this goes without saying, I could not have done it without the people that have supported me on my YouTube journey. This includes my day one folks and my new folks. You know exactly who you are, and I thank you for supporting me every step of the way. And there's one thing that I can guarantee you for sure. The content on my channel will get better with every single video, whether it be by an inch or by a mile. I promise you it will get better. Thank you. Okay, enough of the sentimental nonsense. Let's talk about the history of Duke Nukem Forever and how it came to be. According to the Duke Nukem fandom page, Duke Nukem Forever is a first-person shooter game that was released for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and the PC, developed by 3D Realms, Triptych Games, Piranha Games, and Gearbox Software. Just FYI, the game that I played is the PS3 version. I don't think that really matters though. Duke Nukem Forever is the sequel to the 1996 game Duke Nukem 3D. You do the math, 15 years between video games. It's a long time. I guess I should have mentioned this earlier, but Duke Nukem Forever released June 14, 2011. 3D Realms kept pushing the release date back and announcing different release dates, and when asked when is it going to be officially released, they replied with, when it's done. I mean, that's not a wrong answer if you ask me. In May of 2009, 3D Realms was downsized for financial reasons, which resulted in losing their development team. And if you guessed this would push back the release date even more, then you would be correct. Fast forward to 2011, where the game was supposed to be released on May 3rd in North America, but unfortunately it was delayed once more, which pushed back the date to June 14th, 2011. A 14-year development time for a video game is wild to me. At that point, I would have just given up. But props to 3D Realms for actually pushing it out. And that right there, my friends, is the history of Duke Nukem Forever. Now with that out of the way, let's get into this review. We're going to start with the story. The story of Duke Nukem Forever is pretty cut and dry, very easy to follow, and it is very, very simple. Aliens have invaded the Earth, and Duke Nukem is ordered by the President and the General to not engage the aliens. But Duke Nukem being Duke Nukem, he decides to do it anyway. Here's a short clip of how the story begins.
News bulletin. Eyewitnesses have confirmed that several aliens have descended from the mothership and are now reportedly in line at the Duke Burger on the Vegas Strip. No hostility has been observed. Citizens are advised to remain calm but keep a safe distance from the visitors. We will update you as further information becomes available. This has been a News 17 special report.
Why doesn't somebody do something to protect us? Isn't this what we pay the government for?
Welcome, Duke. You have an incoming conference call. General Graves and the President are both online.
Hello, Duke. You know I don't like long speeches, so I'll keep this brief. I'm issuing you a direct order not to engage in hostile interaction with the alien visitors. This is effective immediately. I will not have our future intergalactic negotiations ruined by rash action. The national budget is still recovering after the week-long binge of horror and holocaust you wreaked upon Los Angeles 12 years ago. I won't see this opportunity for peace squandered. I know you don't like this, Duke, but we can't go in with guns blazing just yet. The President thinks this time might be different, and I tend to agree. You kicked their asses pretty hard last time. Maybe the President's right to say we shouldn't just assume they're here to control. Maybe they finally realize they can't win a war against America as long as you're alive. Duke, you're a relic from a different era. This is a new age for humanity. We can't afford to shoot first and ask questions later just because we suspect they might still have WMDs. I'm in diplomatic discussions with the Cycloid Emperor for the peaceful coexistence of our species. The Cycloid Emperor himself. You're not required. Do not get involved. That's an order. Duke, I know this is hard for him, but play it cool for now. As your general and friend, I know I can count on you to follow our Commander-in-Chief.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
And that right there, my friends, is the Duke Nukem Forever story. Like I said, it was very simple, nothing more, nothing less. It gives Halo type vibes, except very watered down. Throughout the story, you will play through 23 missions altogether, all of which were fairly short. To play through just the main story of the game, it took me about 8, 9, maybe 10 hours. I don't know, I really wasn't paying attention to how long I was playing the game. And that pretty much covers the story. Aliens invade the Earth. Duke Nukem is encouraged to not interfere with the aliens, but decides to do it anyway because, well, Duke Nukem is going to do what Duke Nukem wants to do. On to the next segment.
Safety first.
The gameplay was very similar to that of any other first-person shooter. Very similar controls, you got multiple weapons to choose from, grenades, explosive, all that nonsense. Honestly, it was really nothing special. Perhaps the best thing about the gameplay itself was being able to interact with the environment, like what I just did, lifting weights. And the amount of things you can interact with in the environment are practically limitless. Here you can see me playing a pinball game appropriately named Balls of Steel. And here you can see me playing with an RC car. Interacting with the environment was really fun, but that's about as far as it goes. The controls themselves were very clunky. That is the best way that I can describe it. During my gameplay, I did notice that some of my button presses did not register in the game, and that could be one of two reasons why. One being that the game is just broken, or two, my PS3 controller is on its last breath. To test out this theory, I put in Ninja Gaiden 3 in my PS3, and sure enough, the controls were quite responsive. Now, I don't think the game itself is broken as a whole, but I want to say it's somewhat incomplete. An element of the gameplay that I thought was rather perplexing was the puzzles concept. Like I said in the beginning of this video, Duke Nukem Forever is my introduction into the Duke Nukem franchise. The puzzles concept seemed to work well with the Doom series, and I think that's what they were trying to go for, but it did not work in their favor if you ask me. I usually don't like looking up walkthroughs when I play my games. I like to figure things out for myself and only use it as a last resort. I ended up having to look up the walkthrough for Duke Nukem, and I feel like that's really not necessary with the Duke Nukem franchise. What you're seeing on screen right now is me actively trying to figure out a puzzle. I had to stop the fan in order to get across, and it included me pushing in toolboxes in order to stop the fan. I feel like the puzzles concept in Duke Nukem Forever was a good idea, but a horrible execution. And if I'm going to be quite honest here, I think it wasn't necessary at all. In short, I would have to say that the gameplay experience in Duke Nukem Forever was mediocre at best. More often than not, I was actually bored of doing the same thing over and over again. On top of that, the clunky controls did not help this case in any way. Here is another reason why I think the game was incomplete when it was released. I don't know what this is, that this looks like it's a rendering issue here. And I saw a lot of that throughout the entire game, and I thought it was quite annoying because I thought it was a barrier at first, but no, I could walk right through it, which leads me to believe that it actually is a rendering issue. After the loading screens went away, the game wasn't fully done loading yet, and here is exactly what I mean by that. Take a look. I don't know if you caught that, but I'm going to play it again, and I'll slow it down this time around. It loaded in the textures after it was supposedly done loading. I really don't know what to call this, so I'm just going to describe it as a pop-in. And this wasn't just a one-time thing, this was a recurring issue. After it was supposedly done loading, it would finish loading the textures afterwards. And just to show that I'm not BSing you, here it is again. And once more in slow motion. I know what you're probably thinking right now. You are being extremely nitpicky about this game, and I believe I am. I know I am being very nitpicky about this, considering that there were many other first-person shooter games that released before Duke Nukem Forever, and they look a lot better than this. Overall, I'd have to say that Duke Nukem Forever wasn't the ugliest thing I had to look at, but it wasn't the prettiest either. I feel like after a 14-year development time, they would have ironed out all the kinks. Well, they obviously weren't. Be honest with me, guys. Do y'all really think I'm being too harsh on these casual reviews? The main point of a casual review is to just complete the story of the game and talk about it in general. What do you guys think? Main reason why I'm asking is because I am constantly looking for ways to improve my content, and I'm trying to get a grasp of what my audience likes to see. Most recently, it's been review videos, and other times it was unboxing videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. In any case, let's move on to the music segment of this video.
It's down to you and me, you one-eyed freak.
Throughout most of the time I was playing the game, there was no music, and the music that I did hear did not match the gameplay. Needless to say, I was not impressed by this at all. I need music to play my video games. What you just heard was the loading screen music, and to be quite honest, I'm not a fan of this either. I feel like Duke Nukem needs to have some hardcore heavy metal music. I mean, come on, it's Duke Nukem. It needs music that's similar to that of the Doom series. My guess is that 3D Realms was focusing more on the combat aspect of Duke Nukem, which makes sense, I totally get it, but the music here did not match the gameplay, and I'm kind of upset about that. I'm really salty. 0 out of 10 stars. Not a fan. Considering that this was my entry into the Duke Nukem franchise, I gotta be 100% honest here, I was not impressed with this game. The game as a whole felt incomplete. Considering it had a 14-year development time, it should not have been incomplete. Now I know that there are some outlying circumstances that I'm not taking into consideration, but still, 14 years is 14 years. And if you ask me, there's no excuse for that. The good thing is that I did not hate this game 100%. There are a few things that I did like about this game, like the quick, witty things that Duke Nukem would say, and the interactive environments. I have to admit, the interactive environments was my all-time favorite thing about this game. Other than that, the game itself was a playable experience. I'll give it that. The game was playable. All things considered about this game, I will give this game a water score of 2 out of 5 bottles of water. Thank you for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it, and I really do mean that. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I love y'all, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for my next video.